Stop giving us what we don't want. That sums up what I've been thinking about Marvel since after Endgame. So what happened to the MCU? A franchise that succeeded more than any other franchise in movie history. So let's start with what went right. The first thing they got right was they brought Iron Man to the screen and made it awesome. The second thing they got right was that they created anticipation with an end credit scene where Nick Fury shows up and says, "Oh, we're going to build the Avengers." That got the ball rolling in a way that no ball has ever gone rolling before. I maintain that the secret of the MCU was momentum and anticipation, built by interconnectivity and the promise of a larger story that would all come together. But it would bring all the movies together. This momentum and anticipation was such that even a movie as bad as Thor: The Dark World was eagerly watched, anticipated, and it was even enjoyed because there was a larger picture. It introduced the ether, which would later be one of the stones. It introduced the collector, who would show up all the way into Guardians and then into Avengers, Infinity War. And before that, the Avengers continued the momentum with, oh look, Thanos, he's the larger villain that is coming. He is coming. As bad as the Dark World was, we liked Thor. We liked Loki. And there would be, and there had been, interconnectivity between the Dark World and previous movies and movies to come. And I will repeat, the secret of all of this was momentum and anticipation. Oh my god, wait till Thanos comes. Oh my god, wait till Infinity War comes. Oh my god, the stones and all the characters are going to come together. Wait till this is going to be amazing. And then finally, it happened with Infinity War and Endgame, and they gave us what we wanted. And some may have said that Endgame was not so good. Even if that was true, it still delivered what it had promised. So after Endgame, they had so much good faith from their audience. The audience would have loved the next thing no matter what it was. The audience believed they were being led faithfully, in good faith, down a nice, safe road that would go somewhere. The audience said, well, Marvel always delivers, so we're in good hands. Marvel wouldn't pull the rug up from under us. So phase 4. What were we expecting? Us, the audience. What were we expecting? I'll tell you what we were expecting. We were expecting the X-Men. That was the only logical next step. It was a no-brainer. Maybe introduce one X-Men character in his own movie, and then another one, and then another one, and then lead up to an X-Men movie. And maybe while doing that, continue the stories of Hawkeye and Loki and Thor. Slowly, and over the next 10 years, bring them together, their stories. So you keep the momentum and you increase the momentum. Maybe as you're introducing the X-Men, you're also introducing the Fantastic Four while developing Thor's story, etc. But instead of giving the audience what the audience clearly, obviously expected and wanted, what did they give us? They gave us a gift we did not want. Moon Knight. We all had goodwill. We watched the Hawkeye show. That was fine. It was subpar, but fine. We got goodwill. It's still a familiar character. We got WandaVision. I liked it. That was fine. I didn't even mind Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But for me, Moon Knight was the first thing that brought not all of the momentum, but slowed down the momentum. There was no interconnectivity. It did not connect whatsoever to any story, any larger story at all. in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I think it was the first project that did so. Even though it was not, I liked it. I thought it was fine. And then they just kept beating us over the head with these characters we've never heard of and who did not connect at all to the larger story. There is no larger story. There was no larger story. But even in WandaVision, even though I liked WandaVision, they made a big, huge error when they brought in a character named Boner, but they hyped it like we were going to get a new Quicksilver. So that was the first time they pulled the rug out from under me and made me realize, or made me feel like I was ripped off. Like bait and switch. Oh, you think it's Quicksilver? No, it's not. It's just a guy named Boner. And they kept doing it. The other example I can think of off the top of my head is the Multiverse of Madness, where they give us Reed Richards and Professor Xavier only to have them get killed. So it's like, oh, so we thought we finally got Reed Richards. Nope, just joking. He's dead. He's not the real one. And the multitude of these movies that did not connect to a larger stories, to the larger story, like The Eternals and Shang-Chi, had nothing to do with anything. And then She-Hulk. I understand she's popular among comic book fans, but among non-comic book fans, who the hell is this? Also, it was terribly made. Also, it did not connect to a larger story. It killed momentum. Everybody started realizing Marvel doesn't know where they're going. Phase 4, Phase 5, I don't really care where one begins and the other ends, because it's all just an ugly blur. Miss Marvel, I don't know who she is. I didn't even watch it. I think it was a kids show. The Marvels, I don't know who these characters are. Now, the funny thing is, the one thing they did right was introducing Kang and saying, oh, it's going to go towards the Kang dynasty. Yet, none of the TV shows, almost, none of the movies linked up to this larger Kang idea, except for Loki Season 2 and Multiverse of Madness. Or no. I mean, Ant-Man Quantumania. Okay, so the only two good things they did was hyping us up, getting us up, all hyped up with about Kang being the next big bad, and having Kang appear in two Marvel, things, Loki, season 1 and 2, and Quantumania. And then what did they do? They said, well, we're calling it off. We're going to cancel the whole we're pulling the rug out from under you now again. So we're going to further show that we have no idea where we're going by just scrapping the whole Kang thing that we announced. So what are we, like 5 years post Endgame, and are we finally going to get the X-Men? And all goodwill is gone now because you've burnt us too many times. What do we get? We get Thunderbolts, which I thought was a pretty good movie. But first of all, it was not X-Men. Secondly, who the hell are Thunderbolts? And finally, everybody's still got a bad taste in their mouth from all the times they've been let down by the Marvels and all those other things. The Eternals, who I doubt we're ever going to see again. Or Moon Knight. You wasted 5 years of our time. You killed the momentum, so now nobody even cares. Even though I kind of like these characters. And yet again, there's no real tie-in. Like, oh yeah, there is a tie-in at the very end. The end credits, the Fantastic Four ships arrives. Well, it arrived 5 years too late. You know, like a friend gave me a rocking chair a few months ago. And now I'm stuck with it. Even though I don't like it, I don't want it. I'm stuck with it because he gave it to me. And I know it's not very similar, but I kind of feel like Disney, Marvel gave us these movies that I don't like, but I'm stuck with. And now they're part of the canon. And if they're not part of the canon, then that's even worse because they're just a waste of time because we wanted the larger story to kick off. See, the problem is I didn't dislike many of these projects. I liked Shang-Chi. I even kind of liked the Eternals, and I still had a little bit of goodwill because I was still kind of thinking maybe they're gonna, the Kang Dynasty, right? But now that we know that there was no interconnectivity, it's like, well, who the hell's Shang-Chi? Who cares? And if you wanted us to care about Shang-Chi, you should have made a sequel by now. If you wanted us to care about Moon Knight, you should have made a season 2 by now. And you should have also connected it. It's this one and done standalone bullshit that really killed it for me. And now with the Fantastic Four having probably flopped, that's what people are saying. I think it's too late. I think they killed all the momentum when all they had to do was just keep riding it. All they had to do is give us what we wanted, but they had to keep giving us what we didn't want. Okay, so again, the MCU was built on momentum and anticipation and interconnectivity. And what's the one thing you have to do with momentum? You have to keep it going. Instead, they halted it. Like a brick wall. They said, instead, we're going to give you 5 years of TV shows and movies that have no relevance or relation to one another. And some of it is going to really suck, too. And that's being generous. Maybe most of it sucked. But I had such goodwill that I was willing to try to enjoy it. I wanted to like it. I liked it even if I didn't like it. Harkening back to The Dark World, Thor: The Dark World. It was a crappy movie. There were a lot of crappy movies in the phase 1, 2, and 3. Iron Man 2 was a letdown. There were plenty. In The Killing Blow, what is that called? The coup de grace? The Killing Blow is Kevin Feige basically saying, we're going to stop having interconnectivity so that people don't have to watch everything previous in order to understand anything. So they got the wrong... That's the worst part, is that Marvel got the wrong lesson out of all of this. Basically, after Endgame, they did more slowly, but they did what Star Wars did. Disney Star Wars did with those sequel trilogies. That sequel trilogy. Disney had a franchise in Star Wars that had momentum and anticipation built in. All they had to do was go to the next logical step. Give us what we want. Give us what we want, and even if you do it poorly, we will still enjoy your franchise because you've got momentum on your side. You've got fans that want to come and see they want to like your projects. Instead, they scrapped and trashed the original characters faster than you can blink your eye. Instead of having the characters almost literally pass the baton, as in the lightsaber, have Luke pass the lightsaber on to the next generation, they just threw all these new characters at us and expected us to forget the previous ones. And the new characters were all boring and rushed and unlikable. And not only did they scrap the original characters, they also scrapped the entire story, because they made all of the story that we'd already heard, already watched, meaningless, because Darth Vader's sacrifice was meaningless because the Emperor shows up. It's called bait and switch, right? You pretend you're going to give somebody something, and then when they go to grab it, you give them something else, right? We came to see the story finish, the ending of the story of Luke and Leia and Han, and the passing of the torch, baton, and instead it was like, haha, you came to see Luke Skywalker, instead we're going to have him milking a cow, ha ha ha, joke's on you, and he's going to be a loser. You thought you were coming to see Star Wars, but instead we're going to just give you all these new characters that have no relevance whatsoever. And that's exactly what Marvel has done. We wanted the X-Men. Instead, here's Shang-Chi. here's Moon Knight. And they have nothing to do with anything. What really punctuates the failure of Star Wars was they couldn't even keep R2-D2. I mean, that you don't even need an actor for that, right? They had to replace him too with a new droid that nobody cares about. BB-8? Who the hell's that? And with Kevin Feige announcing that they're going to even do less interconnectiveness, They're going to slow the momentum even more by having more standalone bullshit. I'll just conclude this video by saying that Marvel has lost the plot, both figuratively and literally. Let me know if you agree that interconnectiveness and momentum were the secret ingredients of the MCU, and if they're both dead.